Most people think winners are just lucky, that the guy at the top somehow stumbled into success, born with a silver spoon or struck by lightning-level fortune. Let me tell you something straight. Luck is what the lazy cling to. Strategy is what winners live by. The world doesn't hand out trophies for good intentions. It rewards precision, power, strategy. If you're sitting around waiting for your moment, it's not coming. No one's handing you the throne. You have to take it. Now, before you tune out and think, this sounds ruthless, stop. Because that's the exact mindset that keeps men average. You've been sold this soft version of success, that if you're just nice enough, patient enough, humble enough, things will magically work out. They won't. Here's the reality. The people who get ahead in life think like strategists. They play the long game. They understand people. They know when to speak and when to stay silent. They know when to strike and when to wait. And above all, they never move without a purpose. That's why today, we're talking about a man who understood this better than almost anyone in history, Niccolo Machiavelli. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not telling you to become a manipulative villain or some cold-hearted backstabber. That's not what this is about. But I am telling you this. If you don't learn to think strategically, you will be outplayed in life, outmaneuvered, outsmarted, every single time. Machiavelli wasn't a monster. He was a realist, a man who saw how the world really worked, not how we wish it worked. He wrote The Prince not as a fairy tale, but as a manual, a survival guide for navigating power, leadership, and human nature. And whether you're building a business, climbing your career ladder, trying to lead a family, or just trying to get your life together, the principles are timeless. If you've ever felt like people overlook you, like others get promoted while you're left grinding in silence, like you do everything right and still get the short end of the stick, this video is your wake-up call. Because here's the truth. You're not unlucky. You're unstrategic. And once you change that, once you learn how to think like Machiavelli, you stop reacting to life and start engineering it. So let's get into it. Let me ask you this. How many times have you been outplayed because you acted emotionally instead of logically? How often have you been too nice, too open, too trusting, and it burned you? That's not because the world is evil. It's because you didn't understand the game. The world rewards players, not wishful thinkers, not good guys hoping for karma to come around. It rewards people who know how to move with intent, read people, and influence outcomes without blowing everything up. This is where Machiavellian thinking comes in. And no, I don't mean scheming or lying to everyone. I mean developing a mindset that's grounded in reality, strategy, and results. You want more respect? Think strategically. You want to build wealth? Think strategically. You want stronger relationships? Think strategically. And if that word strategy sounds cold or manipulative to you, that's because you've been trained to see it that way. Strategy isn't manipulation, it's awareness. It's knowing how the board is set up and playing your pieces like a damn champion, not a pawn. So, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to break down the key principles, the mindset that made Machiavelli's thinking timeless, and more importantly, I'm going to show you how to apply them to your own life, in a way that makes you stronger, smarter, sharper, respected. This isn't about playing games, it's about winning in a world that already is one. It's about learning the rules so you can break them properly. And once you do, you'll stop hoping for life to go your way and start making it go your way. Principle 1. Control your emotions, or be controlled. You ever wonder why people who stay calm in chaos always seem to come out on top? It's not because they don't feel pressure. It's not because they don't get angry or frustrated or anxious. It's because they don't let those feelings drive the car. You want to think like Machiavelli? You start here. You get your emotions in check, or you get used to being played like a fiddle. Machiavelli knew one thing for sure. The man who reacts emotionally is the easiest man to manipulate. He's predictable. He's sloppy. He's the first one to explode, make mistakes, and fall apart when things don't go his way. You've seen it. Maybe you've lived it. You get insulted and you lash out. Someone lies to you, and you go full rage mode. You lose a deal, and instead of recalibrating, you spiral into self-pity. And while you're wasting energy, someone else is watching you, studying you, planning their next move while you're stuck in your feelings. That's how you lose. Here's the cold truth. Life doesn't care about your feelings. Your competitors definitely don't. And the people around you? They're watching how you handle pressure. Not how well you talk when things are going great, but how you move when everything's falling apart. Control your emotions, or they will be weaponized against you. And this doesn't mean becoming a robot. It means mastering your own state, knowing when to express and when to shut it down, when to speak and when to stay silent, when to show strength and when to appear vulnerable to disarm your opponent. Yes, appear vulnerable. Sometimes, even that is a strategy. But it has to be a choice, not a reaction. Look, nobody respects a man who's ruled by his impulses. Not in business, not in relationships, not in leadership. The strongest men aren't the loudest. They're the ones who can sit in the fire, think clearly, and still execute with precision. So how do you build this level of control? You start by becoming hyper-aware of your emotional triggers. What sets you off? What situations make you reactive? What kind of people throw you off balance? If you don't know that, you'll keep getting ambushed by your own psychology. You'll keep thinking it's the world against you when really, it's you against you. Here's a challenge. For the next 7 days, anytime you feel triggered, pause. Don't act. Don't respond. Observe. Write it down. Study the pattern. And then ask, what's the strategic move here? Not the emotional one, the strategic one. Because power belongs to the man who can delay his reaction, think 3 steps ahead, and act with purpose. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler must learn to act against his nature when necessary. That doesn't mean becoming fake. It means knowing when your instincts are liabilities and having the discipline to override them. You want to win? Start acting like your emotions are tools, not masters. You pull them out when needed. You put them away when they're not. That's real power. Now let's flip it. If you can control your emotions, you can also learn to understand and influence the emotions of others. Because here's where it gets interesting. Most people are walking around on autopilot, driven by fear, ego, insecurity, pride, the need to feel validated. And if you know how to read those cues, you can lead, influence, negotiate, and persuade with incredible accuracy. It's not manipulation. It's awareness. The best negotiators don't just know numbers, they know psychology. They don't just pitch, they read. They watch body language, tone, timing. They let others speak first and reveal their hand. This is exactly what Machiavelli meant when he said it's better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Because fear, or more accurately, respect is based on consistency, control, and predictability. People know where you stand. You don't fold under pressure. You don't break when tested. People love emotional men, but they only follow stable ones. You want to lead? Get this handled. You want to command a room? Build this inner gravity. It starts with emotional discipline. Because once you master that, you move differently. You become untouchable in situations that used to break you. And more than that, people around you feel it. They might not know what it is at first, but they'll say things like, "He's grounded. He's focused. He's not easily rattled." They'll start looking to you when things get chaotic, trusting your word, respecting your leadership, because you've proven you can lead yourself. And in a world where most men are slaves to their moods, that alone will set you apart. Principle 2. See people for who they are, not who you want them to be. One of the fastest ways to lose in life is to romanticize people. You put them on pedestals. You believe what they say without paying attention to what they actually do. You ignore red flags. You give second chances to people who have already shown you their pattern. And then you're shocked when they burn you. Machiavelli would call that foolish. Not just soft, dangerous. He wrote that a ruler must assume people will act out of self-interest, even if they pretend otherwise. And let's be honest, most people do. That doesn't mean everyone is evil, but it does mean most people are driven by their needs, their wants, their survival instinct. And if you expect anything else, you're walking through life blindfolded. You want to win? Take the blindfold off. Start paying attention. Not to what people say, but to the patterns. Words are cheap. Patterns are everything. A friend who constantly cancels on you is not busy. He's inconsistent. A boss who keeps promising you a raise but never delivers isn't forgetful. He's using you. A partner who keeps crossing your boundaries isn't confused. They're testing you. Wake up. Stop telling yourself stories that make you feel better. Start looking at reality, even when it stings. Machiavellian thinking isn't about being paranoid. It's about being alert. There's a difference between distrust and discernment. Distrust assumes everyone is out to get you. That's exhausting. Discernment understands that people are human. They're flawed. And if you don't watch closely, their flaws will cost you time, energy, money, or worse, your peace. Now here's the power move. Once you see people for who they really are, you can decide how to interact with them from a place of strength, not fantasy. You stop putting the wrong people in positions they don't belong in. You stop expecting loyalty from opportunists. You stop giving trust to people who haven't earned it. And instead, you start putting your energy into people who actually align with your values, your mission, your standards. Because let's be clear, not everyone deserves access to you. You don't owe your time to people who drain it. You don't owe kindness to people who exploit it. You don't owe love to people who manipulate it. Boundaries are part of strategy. In fact, Machiavelli would argue that knowing who to keep close and who to keep at arm's length is one of the most important decisions a man can make. Think about it. How many people have dragged you down just because you didn't have the guts to walk away? How much time have you wasted trying to change people who never wanted to grow in the first place? How many times have you trusted the wrong one only to get stabbed in the back? That's not bad luck. That's bad judgment. And judgment can be sharpened. Here's how. Step 1. Study behavior. Not just what people say to you, but how they treat others, how they talk about people behind their backs, how they respond when they don't get what they want. That's where the truth shows up. Step 2. Test slowly. Don't open your life to someone overnight. Give them small amounts of trust and see what they do with it. People reveal themselves under pressure, not during the honeymoon phase. Step 3. Stop projecting. Just because you're loyal doesn't mean they are. Just because you're honest doesn't mean they are. Stop assuming people operate with your same code. Most don't. And honestly, that's okay. Because once you stop expecting other people to be like you, You become impossible to manipulate. You're no longer shocked when someone breaks their word. You saw it coming. You're no longer devastated when someone switches up. You adjusted before they even moved. You stay 10 steps ahead because you stopped playing the emotional game and started playing the real one. That's how you protect yourself. Not by closing off to the world, but by seeing it clearly. And once you master this, something shifts. You become the guy who other people can't figure out. You're composed, sharp. You don't over-explain, over-share, or over-trust. You move with precision because you see through people like glass. Not because you hate them, but because you understand them. That's leadership. That's power. That's how men who win operate. The world is full of people wearing masks. Machiavellian thinking teaches you how to see through them. And once you learn that skill, nobody can play you again. Not because you're cold, but because you're clear. Principle 3. Be a force, not a face. Most people walk through life invisible. Not because the world is blind, but because they refuse to step into who they really are. They play small. They downplay their strengths. They hide their ambition, their voice, their power. And then they wonder why no one listens to them, why no one takes them seriously, why they always feel like an afterthought in every room they walk into. It's simple. If you don't carry yourself like a force, people will treat you like background noise. You want to win like Machiavelli? You stop blending in. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable, and you start showing up like someone who knows his value. Because respect is never given freely. It's earned, and then it's enforced. Machiavelli said it clearly. It's better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. What does that mean? It means love is emotional. It fades. It's soft. Fear, or more accurately, respect is about presence. It's about power. It's about people knowing that if they cross you, there are consequences. That's not aggression. That's clarity. Most men are too afraid to draw that line. They want to be liked so badly that they tolerate anything. They let people walk over them, talk down to them, take advantage of their time and their energy, and they smile through it. But here's the reality. If you don't set the tone, someone else will. And once they do, they're in control, not you. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. A leader who wants to keep power has to appear decisive. He has to carry the weight of authority in how he speaks, how he moves, how he makes decisions. If you're hesitant, unsure, or passive, people will sense it, and they will test you. In the real world, people push boundaries. It's human nature. They want to know what they can get away with. And if you're not ready to push back, you'll be overrun. So what do? You build presence. You sharpen your voice. You walk into a room with posture, purpose, and silence that speaks louder than words. You speak with precision. You cut the fluff. You say what you mean, and you mean what you say. No backpedaling. No, sorry for being honest. Own your words like a man who understands his authority. You create standards and you enforce them. You don't let disrespect slide. You don't make excuses for people who treat you like you're disposable. You don't keep showing up for people who never show up for you. Because the way you allow people to treat you becomes the way they believe they should treat you. This is how power is built. Not through domination, but through unwavering self-respect. You want to be taken seriously? Start taking yourself seriously. You want influence? Make sure your presence carries weight. This means getting your life in order. Physically, mentally, financially, People can sense when you're solid, when your house is in order, when you're not desperate, not needy, not trying to prove anything. That's when your energy shifts. You go from seeking approval to setting standards. And suddenly, people treat you differently. They listen when you talk. They move differently around you. They respect your time, your space, your name. Not because you yelled the loudest, but because you showed up like a man who doesn't need them to clap. That's the shift. From being liked to being respected. From being overlooked to being unforgettable. From being a face in the crowd to being a presence that changes the temperature of every room you enter. And here's the key. It's not about ego. It's about alignment. You decide who you are. You carry yourself like it. You back it up with action, results, and consistency. And the world adjusts. This isn't theory, it's fact. The world mirrors your energy. If you walk around unsure of yourself, people will treat you like an option. If you walk like a man who knows what he brings to the table, people will think twice before they play games. But it starts with you. Do you have the discipline to follow through? Do you have the backbone to set boundaries? Do you have the confidence to stand tall, even when no one's clapping? Most men crumble because they've never built that muscle. They've spent their lives hoping the world will hand them respect, not realizing respect is something you command, not request. And when you start living this way, something changes in you. You don't chase attention, you attract it. You don't beg for validation. You become your own proof. You don't move for approval. You move with direction. That's what being a force is all about. It's not about being loud. It's about being undeniable. Principle 4. Execute relentlessly or stay stuck forever. Here's the truth no one wants to hear. Most of you already know what you need to do. You've read the books. You've listened to the podcasts. You've watched videos like this one. But you're still stuck. Not because you lack knowledge, because you lack execution. The graveyard of potential is full of men who had brilliant ideas and no action. Powerful plans that were never followed through. Dreams that were postponed until they faded into regret. That's not going to be you. You want to think like Machiavelli? Then stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop waiting until you're more confident, more ready, more experienced. Stop waiting for some imaginary moment when you finally feel like taking action. That moment never comes. Machiavelli wasn't a philosopher in a tower writing poetry about what could be. He was a strategist grounded in real life, politics, war, power, struggles. He understood that action, not talk, is what builds empires. The men who win are the ones who move. They take calculated risks. They make decisions. They act before they feel ready. They adjust as they go. You sitting on the sideline, overthinking every step, is killing your progress. You're trying to predict outcomes you haven't even earned the right to reach yet. You want certainty before you make a move, but life doesn't work like that. There is no perfect plan. There is only action and feedback. Machiavelli knew this. He advised rulers to be bold, to commit, to step into the chaos and shape it to their will, because hesitation kills power faster than mistakes do. A man who hesitates becomes easy to displace. A man who acts becomes hard to ignore. You want to win? Then build momentum. Take the smallest action and stack it. Wake up earlier. Speak up more. Hit the gym even when you feel like trash. Finish the task you've been avoiding. Start the business. Write the proposal. Make the call. Send the message. Get into motion. Because momentum is a weapon. It builds confidence. It breeds discipline. It forces growth. And once you start stacking wins, even small ones, everything starts to change. You start to believe in yourself again. You start to move with conviction. You stop questioning if you can and start proving that you are. That's how empires are built, brick by brick, day by day, decision by decision. Not in theory, in practice. And let me make one thing clear. You will fail. You will mess up. You will get knocked down. Good. That means you're in the game. Only the ones who do nothing stay clean. The ones who sit on the sidelines judging others. The ones who never take a hit because they never take a swing. But the ones who win, they fail forward. They adapt. They learn. They sharpen. And they keep going. That's the difference. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be relentless. You need to be the kind of man who moves even when it's inconvenient, who takes action when others are stalling, who chooses discomfort over delay, who lives with urgency instead of excuses. You want to change your life? Then start acting like it's your job. Not your hobby. Not your hope. Your responsibility. Nobody's coming to do it for you. Nobody's going to hand you the perfect conditions. If you want a life that commands respect, you have to build it with your own hands. And you do that by executing. Every day. With focus. With discipline. With intensity. You think Machiavelli's principles were about sitting around and overanalyzing people? No. They were about understanding the terrain, knowing what needs to be done, and doing it with calculated, intentional force. Strategy without execution is just theory. And theory doesn't build legacies, action does. So whatever it is you've been sitting on, start today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not after the next excuse. Today. Because the man who moves now wins later. Let's bring it all together. Think like Machiavelli. Control your emotions so you're not easy to manipulate. See people clearly so you're never blindsided. Build presence so you're respected, not ignored. Execute relentlessly so your vision becomes real. These aren't ideas, these are weapons. And if you sharpen them, if you master them, if you live them, no one can stop you from becoming exactly who you were meant to be. Most men drift. You won't. Most men wait. You won't. Most men want to win. But you're building the strategy to actually do it. And if that fire is lit right now, don't let it fade. Use it. Take one action today that changes the trajectory of your life. Just one. And then stack it tomorrow. Because you're not here to survive. You're here to win. And the game has already started. So stop waiting. Make your move. By the way, if this hit home and you're serious about leveling up your mindset, your discipline, and your power, show some love. Like the video. Subscribe. Drop a comment with the one thing you're going to act on today. Until next time, stay sharp, stay dangerous, stay in control.